The story begins inside the laboratories of Time Labs, a huge corporation where a team of scientists is working on its most ambitious project yet, a state-of-the-art robot. The project leader, Director Radek, arrives to check on their progress, but the chief scientist, Dr. Simon, admits that she is having trouble activating the machine. Radek becomes furious because the project is already behind schedule, so he orders the team to increase the power level and force the robot to wake up. Despite the risks, Dr. Simon sends a powerful electrical surge through the machine, causing all the equipment in the laboratory to malfunction. Unfortunately, the robot still doesn't respond. Frustrated, Director Radek orders the team to throw everything away so they can start working on another project called X1. Meanwhile, far from the laboratory, Noah, a young tech and video game enthusiast, is watching a live stream on his best friend Bethany's channel. But in the middle of the broadcast, his father, Peter, calls him over to spend some time together watching movies. Because Peter works as a supervisor at Time Labs, he rarely gets to spend time with Noah or his older son, Mark, so he's taken the day off to make up for it. However, their time together doesn't last long. Peter gets a call from his boss asking him to help decipher a programming code. With no other choice, Peter has to return to work, but he invites Noah to come along and gives him a chance to tour Time Labs. Once they arrive, Peter starts working on the programming code while Noah heads to the restroom. On his way there, the boy notices two workers carrying a stretcher down the hallway. Curious, he follows them to the company's factory, where they leave the stretcher covered with a cloth next to the industrial trash. As soon as the workers leave, Noah takes a closer look and is shocked to discover a small robot that is about to be thrown away. Realizing that it's not an ordinary toy, the boy quickly hides it inside his backpack just as the workers return. Noah tries to sneak away, but he accidentally knocks over an iron pipe, immediately getting the workers' attention. They start looking around to see if anyone is nearby while Noah hides behind the machines. Luckily, they don't notice him, and he manages to make it back to his father's office with the robot safely hidden in his backpack. Once Peter finishes his work, he and Noah head home. Noah leaves his backpack on the table while he heats up a pizza in the microwave. Then he goes to the fridge to get a drink, completely unaware that the robot has started draining power from the kitchen appliances. After dinner, Noah returns to his room and starts messing around with the robot, trying to get it to work, but nothing happens. Then Bethany calls him on video, and Noah shows her what he found at his father's company, a highly advanced robot that was about to be thrown away. Bethany is amazed by the discovery, so Noah invites her over the next morning to see it in person. However, he makes her promise to keep the robot a secret. Eventually, Noah goes to sleep because he has school the next morning. But a few hours later, in the middle of the night, the robot's operating system suddenly boots up and the machine finally wakes up. Not knowing where it is, the little robot approaches Noah, but when the boy wakes up and sees it standing beside him, he gets scared and falls out of bed. Fortunately, the robot isn't dangerous and introduces itself as the ARI 9 model, the 9th prototype created using advanced robotic technology. Noah quickly becomes comfortable around the robot and asks who built it. ARI 9 only remembers that he was created by Noah's father. Since he was deactivated, his memory records have been damaged, and he can only remember that his 8 previous siblings were developed before him, but were eventually discarded because of different malfunctions. The two continue talking until Peter knocks on Noah's bedroom door and asks who he's talking to. The boy quickly tries to cover it up, saying that he was just getting ready for his morning exercise routine before school. Peter leaves, and Noah warns ARI 9 that he needs to be careful because his existence has to remain a secret for now. The robot agrees, but then asks what the exercise routine is that Noah mentioned. Noah shows him a video of the exercises he does every morning. ARI 9 finds it interesting, and soon the two start having fun copying the movements together until it's time for Noah to leave for school. ARI 9 asks if he can come along. Even though Noah doesn't think it's a good idea, he eventually agrees and hides the robot inside his backpack once again. Just as he's about to leave, Noah runs into his mother, Rita, in the kitchen. She has just returned from a business trip and asks her son how he spent the night. Before Noah can answer, ARI 9 suddenly speaks from inside the backpack and says that they had a lot of fun. Noah quickly tries to play it off and nudges the backpack with his elbow to make the robot stop talking. He then says goodbye to his parents and rushes out, claiming that he's late for class. Meanwhile, back at Time Labs, Director Radek is trying to explain ARI 9's failure to the owner of the company. He promises that he is already working on an even better project, the X1, and plans to reuse parts from the previous robot. But when Dr. Simon goes to check the scrap pile, she discovers that ARI 9 is missing. The company owner demands to know how that could have happened, and Dr. Simon explains that a system glitch caused the security cameras to shut down. This means someone may have entered the laboratory and taken the robot. Furious, the owner of Time Labs orders them to find ARI-9 at all costs. Meanwhile, Noah meets Bethany at school, and the two go to the library, where he finally shows her his new robot. ARI-9 is excited to experience everything for the first time and demonstrates some of his abilities, including accelerated learning, the ability to speak multiple languages, and incredible resistance to damage. However, the robot warns Noah that he needs to find a power source. With his battery at its current level, ARI-9 can only remain active for about a week. Noah promises that he'll find a way to recharge him, but when the school bell rings, he has to go to class. He quickly hides ARI-9 inside his backpack and heads to the classroom. Once there, the teacher asks the students if they've prepared their social studies projects. Noah immediately realizes that he hasn't even started his. To make things worse, the teacher chooses him to be the first student to present. Noah grabs a sheet of paper from his notebook and walks to the front of the classroom with absolutely no idea what to say. But then he notices ARI-9 looking at him from inside his backpack. Thanks to his new friend, Noah suddenly comes up with a topic and starts talking about friendship. He explains that making friends can be difficult because everyone is busy with their own lives. But when you find a true friend, sometimes in the most unexpected place, you have to do everything you can to take care of that friendship. Noah's unexpected speech touches everyone in the classroom, including ARI-9, and the entire class applauds when he finishes. After class, Noah and his new friend head behind the school, where Noah tries to figure out how to recharge the robot. ARI-9 asks how humans recharge their energy, and Noah explains that unlike machines, people need to eat and exercise every day. The robot then remembers the exercise video they watched earlier and uses his holographic technology to play it. However, the music attracts the attention of two troublemaking students, who head toward the back of the school to see what's happening behind the trash can. Noah quickly tells ARI-9 to hide. By accident, the robot activates a camouflage system and suddenly becomes completely invisible. The two troublemakers find Noah and start attacking him, forcing the boy to defend himself on his own. One of them notices a piece of fruit inside the trash can and throws it at Noah. But before it can hit him, an invisible force suddenly protects the boy and sends the fruit flying back into the troublemakers' faces. Terrified by what just happened, the two students run away. Noah thanks ARI-9, who has just discovered another one of his abilities. Unfortunately, using the camouflage system consumes a huge amount of energy, and ARI-9 now estimates that he only has 4 days left before his battery runs out. Things get even worse when Noah discovers that the camouflage technology also activated a tracking system. This allows Dr. Simon to locate ARI-9's signal. She immediately reports the situation to Director Radek, who asks if she can shut the robot down remotely. Simon warns him that doing so could be extremely dangerous. Since ARI-9 is still a prototype, the command could accidentally activate his combat system. If that happens, the robot could become extremely aggressive and identify any living being as a threat, potentially even causing a fatality. To avoid creating more problems for the company, Director Radek hires a team of mercenaries led by a man named Titan. Their mission is simple: capture ARI-9 without leaving any trace. Hours later, Bethany goes to Noah's house and the boy tells her about ARI-9's new ability to become invisible. However, ARI-9 is running dangerously low on power, and if they don't find a solution soon, the robot will shut down for a very long time. ARI-9 searches through its computer for more records, and using its holographic system, it manages to access a video recording of its creator. The recording was made exactly 1 year ago, which means today is ARI-9's anniversary. In the video, Professor Eggy looks extremely proud of his creation, making it even more mysterious why he abandoned the robot at Time Labs. Now that they know the professor's name, Noah and Bethany decide to look for him. But before they can do anything, they hear a car approaching. Inside are Dr. Simon, Director Radek, and Titan. The moment Noah sees the armed mercenary, he runs back into the house and tells everyone they need to get out. Seconds later, Titan and his men storm inside. Noah and Bethany jump out through a window and tell ARI-9 to do the same. The robot is scared, but Bethany assures him that everything will be fine. ARI-9 finally jumps out of the window, and to everyone's surprise, jet thrusters suddenly activate in his arms and legs. Once again, the robot manages to amaze Noah, but there is no time to stop and admire his new ability. The three friends quickly run toward the garage. Noah gets into his father's car and drives away. But before he can escape, Titan orders his team to move in. Two cars appear on opposite sides of the street, blocking both exits. Seeing that they're only kids, Titan orders his men to capture the robot without using lethal force. Noah finds himself completely surrounded and has no idea what to do. That's when ARI-9 comes up with a plan. He extends his arms and legs through the car windows, positioning himself on the vehicle's four wheels. He then activates his jet thrusters, and suddenly the entire car lifts off the ground and takes off through the sky. Once they've put enough distance between themselves and the mercenaries, Bethany asks how they managed to find them so quickly. ARI-9 explains that there must be some kind of tracking device somewhere on his body. That means it won't be long before the mercenaries find them again. But Bethany has an idea to throw them off the trail. She connects her computer to ARI-9's body using a USB cable and starts a live stream, asking all her subscribers to tune in. Her plan is to mix ARI-9's signal with the signals from everyone watching, creating multiple false locations and confusing the tracking system. The plan works. At that exact moment, Dr. Simon's computer starts detecting multiple signals at once, and she can no longer tell which one belongs to ARI-9. With the situation getting worse, Director Radek orders her to remotely reboot the robot so they can track it again. Dr. Simon knows this is risky, but she follows the order and activates the remote signal. Meanwhile, ARI-9 lands the car in a park. He immediately recognizes the place because his father used to bring him there. He accesses his memory files and manages to recover another video recording. In it, Professor Eggy warns that ARI-9 is in danger. He explains that he created the robot to help humanity, but Time Labs modified it with the intention of turning it into a combat machine. Because of this, Eggy deactivated ARI-9 so nobody could use him as a weapon. He also promises that he will return to retrieve the robot soon. After the recording ends, ARI-9 suddenly feels weaker. The energy he's used up has reduced his battery to only 2 days of power. Noah and Bethany realize they need to find Professor Eggy as quickly as possible. But just as they're about to leave the park, ARI-9 suddenly starts acting strangely. Without them knowing, Dr. Simon's remote command has activated the robot's combat mode. ARI-9's blue lights turn red, and he loses control of his actions. The robot activates a plasma weapon and points it directly at Noah, now seeing him as a threat. Before anything can happen, Bethany tries to distract ARI-9 and Noah does the same. The two manage to hide behind the car while Bethany realizes that ARI-9 has become dangerous. But Noah refuses to believe that his friend is gone. He steps out from behind the car and approaches the robot, asking him to return to normal. ARI-9 raises his plasma weapon, but Noah doesn't try to attack him. Instead, he reminds the robot that they're friends. The robot moves closer and pins Noah against the car. Just as he's about to fire, Noah tells him that he can't hurt him because they're friends. Bethany then approaches ARI-9 and tells him the same thing. Their words cause a glitch in the robot's programming. ARI-9 struggles against his own commands, and after a moment, he finally returns to his normal state. He apologizes to Noah for what happened, but the fight against his programming has drained even more of his remaining energy. ARI-9 collapses to the ground with only a few hours of power left. Desperate to save his friend, Noah puts ARI-9 inside his backpack and asks him to remember where Professor Eggy is. The robot can't find the information in his memory, but he remembers that the professor had planned to meet him at the park on his birthday. With this being their only hope, Noah runs through the park looking for Eggy, but there is no sign of him anywhere. As ARI-9 grows weaker by the minute, Noah and Bethany sit on a bench and try to think of another way to save him. Just then, a man sits down beside them, looking completely defeated. After remembering the video recording, Noah suddenly realizes that the man is Professor Eggy. There is no time to waste. Noah shows him ARI-9 inside the backpack, and Eggy is overjoyed to see his creation again after all this time. Noah explains that the robot is almost out of power. Eggy tells them that he has already developed a way to modify ARI-9's battery so it can eventually sustain itself. However, he doesn't have the equipment needed to make the modification. First, they need to recharge ARI-9 using electromagnetic energy. Hearing this, Noah realizes they might be able to use a microwave to power the robot. He also remembers that his older brother Mark works at a diner. With ARI-9's battery almost empty, Noah grabs his friend and heads to the diner with Bethany and Professor Eggy. When they arrive, Mark asks what is going on. Noah explains that he needs to use the microwave to recharge his robot friend. Mark assumes his brother is playing a prank and tells him to leave before he gets into trouble and risks losing his job. But Noah opens his backpack and shows him ARI-9. Once Mark realizes that the robot is real, he takes them into the kitchen. Professor Eggy immediately starts setting up a charging system. Using different items he finds around the kitchen, he builds a small reactor capable of recharging ARI-9's battery. But they are almost out of time. Noah stays beside his friend and promises that everything will be okay. Moments later, ARI-9 loses consciousness and his lights go out. Finally, they're ready to activate the charger. Mark turns on the microwave and a burst of electromagnetic energy is sent toward the robot. Everyone waits hopefully for ARI-9 to come back online, but suddenly, an unknown man shuts off the diner's circuit breaker, cutting the power and deactivating the charger. Seconds later, Titan and his team storm into the diner and order everyone to surrender. They announce that they're taking the robot back to time labs. Noah and the others can only watch helplessly as ARI-9 is taken away. But Noah refuses to give up on his friend and decides that if necessary, he'll break into time labs to rescue him. Shortly afterward, Peter arrives at the diner. He's relieved to see Noah because he had found their house completely ransacked and had no idea where his son was. Noah finally tells his father the whole truth and introduces him to Professor A.R.I, the creator of ARI-9. Peter is shocked to meet the scientist because he has always admired A.R.I.'s work. He also had no idea that Time Labs was planning to turn ARI-9 into a weapon. Because of this, Peter offers to help Noah save the robot. He shows them his Time Labs access card, which they can use to get inside the building. While they make their way to the laboratory, Dr. Simon connects ARI-9 to the main computer. Director Roddick orders her to transfer ARI-9's combat system into the X1's processor and destroy the entire ARI-9 chassis so it can't cause any more problems. Dr. Simon questions the decision because ARI-9 has already proven that he's fully functional and may even have greater potential than the X1. But Roddick doesn't want to risk another failure. His goal is to turn the new project into a powerful war machine without any free will. Simon reluctantly follows his orders and begins the transfer. At the same time, Noah, Bethany, Peter, and Professor A.R.I arrive at Time Labs. After getting past security, they make their way to Peter's office and discover that the ARI-9 transfer process has already begun. Peter and Professor A.R.I immediately work together to access the system and reverse the programming, while Noah and Bethany head off to find ARI-9. The two manage to break into the laboratory and find ARI-9 trapped in a bundle of power cables, unable to move. Dr. Simon sees the boys enter the facility, but instead of stopping them, she decides to help. She tries to distract Director Roddick so Noah and Bethany can reach the robot. However, when Roddick looks to the side, he spots the two kids and immediately runs toward them. In the process, he accidentally presses a button that activates the company's new robot, the X1. With part of ARI-9's combat programming already transferred into it, X1 immediately springs to life and starts firing its plasma weapon in every direction. One of the shots blows a crater into the floor. A moment later, X1 locks onto ARI-9 and fires directly at him. The plasma beam knocks the robot backward, and X1 prepares to fire again. Noah runs toward his friend, determined to save him. Now with both Noah and ARI-9 in its sights, X1 fires at them. The plasma beam hits the ground instead, and the resulting energy wave sends Noah flying toward the crater. With almost no power left, ARI-9 uses the last of his strength to separate his body into several different pieces. His thrusters then propel each piece toward Noah and the crater. Seconds later, Noah emerges from the crater wearing ARI-9's armor. Now connected with his friend, the two become a powerful team and prepare to take on X1. Using ARI-9's abilities and Noah's intelligence, they fire plasma beams at X1. But the new robot protects itself with its powerful gauntlets. Unable to find a way to hit X1's weak spot, Noah asks Bethany to help them attack the robot from behind. Bethany immediately knows what to do. She notices a metal disc on the floor, grabs it, and moves behind X1. She throws the disc into the air, and Noah and ARI-9 fire a plasma beam directly at it. The shot bounces off the disc and changes direction, hitting X1 right in the back. The perfectly timed attack finally defeats the robot, but the intense battle has seriously damaged the laboratory. The building starts to collapse around them, and Noah and ARI-9 use their combined strength to hold up the ceiling long enough for everyone to escape. Dr. Simon runs toward Bethany, and the two make their way to the exit alongside Professor A.R.I and Peter. Once everyone is safely outside, Noah and ARI-9 fly out of the laboratory using the robot's jet thrusters. Seconds later, the entire building collapses, completely destroying Time Labs and putting an end to the company's plans. A few days later, Noah's life returns to normal. He finishes his social studies project, this time with the help of his new best friend, ARI-9. Their adventure also changes Bethany's life. She shares the entire story with her audience on her streaming channel and manages to reach 10,000 subscribers. Meanwhile, Professor Eggy returns to his work in robotics. But one day, he receives a mysterious video message. When he opens it, he sees a recording of director Radek, who promises to get revenge on the professor. He also reveals that the X1 has been completely rebuilt. But Professor Eggy isn't worried. He has already modified ARI-9's battery, so the robot no longer needs to recharge. Finally, after another normal day at school, ARI-9 takes to the skies using his jet thrusters. Now free to live his own life, the robot begins his new mission, protecting the city and the friends who mean the most to him.